how to interpret body language. Nonverbal communication is complex and it takes time to increase awareness and the perception of other people's body language, but we're doing it all the time. Some body language cues we just automatically pick up on, but other body language cues are a little bit more nuanced. Everybody from the FBI to human resource hiring managers pay attention to different physical cues that you send out. So you want to know what you're doing with your own body, but you also want to unlock that knowledge so you know what other people are doing with theirs when they're communicating with you. It's said that only 7% of our communication is actually the words that we choose, that 38% is the tone and the inflection that we use, and the rest of it, 55%, is body language. So if you're going to communicate with anybody in any way, you want to make sure that you know these little nuances so that you send out the right message to others and that you can pick up on the real message that other people are sending to you. It really helps to be able to decode other people's body language so you know if they're being authentic or if you're getting fed a load of something that's not necessarily the truth. If that sounds good to you, we're going to talk about that today, but first check and see if you're a subscriber, and if not, you know what to do, and we'll be right back.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
At its most basic level, body language is an external signal of a person's internal emotional state. Body language is the story our bodies tell about what we really think and feel. So understanding body language can help you not only communicate the true meaning of what you want other people to pick up from you, but it can also help you to pick up the true meaning of what someone else is saying. Because remember that rule, that 738-55 rule, 7% of your communication is just the words that you choose. 38% is the tone, and the rest of it, 55%, is body language. So you really, really want to pay attention to this. So some of the cues and signals can include facial expressions like frowning or smiling or scowling or anything like that. Nonverbal cues such as like smiling, nodding, giving a thumbs up. In certain cultures, this and other cultures don't do that. Hand gestures, pointing, posture. Do you have good posture? Are you hunched? Are you are you tilting your head? Are you sitting up straight? And eye contact. Eye contact is a big deal. In certain situations, eye contact is really good, and in other situations, it can be kind of creepy if somebody has eye contact with you in a social situation, a non-intimate situation, and the eye contact is a little bit too strong. That can be super creepy. So think about that. Body language cues can be sent out from any position. So here's a chart on your screen, if you can look at your screen, about how people stand. Their standing posture says a lot about what they're thinking and about what they're feeling. So if you're looking at your screen, that woman in the middle with her hands on her hips, what does that say to you? It's labeled as a power pose, but to me it says either confident, or it could say commandeering. It could have a dominance sort of a feel to it. If you stand with your feet facing somebody directly, it's supposed to be a sign that you are really interested in what they're saying. There's a body language technique called mirroring that I actually coach a lot of my career transition clients to do when they're in interviews. That means that you pay attention to somebody else's body language and then you try to mirror that. If they cross their left leg over their right, you then cross your left leg over your right. You don't do it in such a manner that it seems robotic, like every single time they move their arm, you're going to move your arm like that. But you just start to pick up on these things. If they recline in their chair, you recline slightly. If they lean forward, you find a nice space of appropriate leaning forward. And then there's some negative body language, which really we need to pay attention to. Shaking your legs, moving your legs a lot, especially if you're sitting with crossed legs, if you're kicking your foot up and down, that can indicate that you're bored. It can indicate that you're impatient, that you have a lot of anxiety, or that you're nervous, and those aren't good things to communicate. If you are walking around with your head lowered, if it may look like you have a lot of shame. It may look like you're hiding something. They could think that maybe you lack confidence. Facial expressions. We already said, watch your facial expressions. Arching your eyebrows could say that you're intrigued. It also could be taken, depending upon what your mouth and your shoulders are doing, it also could be taken as questioning someone or being just surprised. Direct eye contact is always a good idea, as long as it is soft. And what I mean is, don't give somebody a death stare. You can have a soft expression on your face. I'll come off that chart for a second and really explain the eye contact for you. It is not odd right now that you and I have eye contact. I'm looking directly into the lens of a camera and recording this video for you, and you're looking at me. But if your eyes are wider and you have a more harsh expression on your face, it can be really, really odd, like that. It can be really uncomfortable. And so just make sure that you have soft expressions in other areas so that your eye contact isn't taken as predatory or creepy or anything of that nature. The eyes are such a focal point. If you blink too much, it could show that you're anxious or nervous. Squinting also could indicate unhappiness, or that you're questioning someone, or that you don't believe them, or that you're not trustworthy. So really pay attention to what your eyes are doing in the area around your eyes, what that's doing as well. This one's pretty well known. Crossing your arms in front of you could make you look like you're defensive, or that you're uncomfortable, or that you don't like the other person. So those are just a little bit about what to look for when you're standing. There's some smaller pictures over to the right about how sitting can also communicate things. You want to make sure that when you're sitting in a posture that is appropriate. So what does that look like? Pretty simple. I recommend that when people are in meetings, they don't cross their legs or anything that can give a different impression of you. 2 feet on the floor, weight equally balanced, spine comfortably erect, just like I guide people when I'm teaching yoga. Comfortably straight. You don't have to be stick straight. You actually don't want to be stick straight because this shows rigidity. It looks very robotic and odd. So just comfortably up and down with your spine. And it also helps to roll your shoulders back some, because if you don't pay attention to what your shoulders are doing, oftentimes they can creep up, and that makes you look tense or cold, or can make you look uncomfortable. So just really relax. And what to do with your hands. I always think that it's so funny when people take photos and they put their hands like this, and I'm like, it's just not natural. We don't go around standing like that with our hands on our hips all the time, hopefully. But just relax. Just relax. Roll your shoulders back. Allow your arms to fall where they may. If you're like me and you talk with your hands, fantastic. If you're not, you can just place them on the table. You can clasp your hands lightly. Don't clasp them tightly. That also shows maybe the person is nervous. Maybe the person is hiding something. Maybe the person is anxious. Maybe the person doesn't like you. So just relaxed. If you want to know what your body language is, this might be a little weird for you, but record yourself. Just set up a camera, and when you're in your office, and take some raw data. You might not realize what you look like in business meetings. You might not realize that you have an intimidating stature until you actually see it on camera. So as somebody who does see yourself on camera a lot, I can say it doesn't really bother me, but when people first start to do that, it might be a little uncomfortable. Tune into micro expressions, the little tiny things that you do with your face, the little tiny changes in your body. Becoming perceptive of nonverbal communication takes paying attention to subtle movements, little tilts of the head, rolls of the eye, small shifts of the mouth. Watching somebody's face for subtle movements can really help you tune in more closely to what they're actually expressing past their words and past their intonation. And then also investigate your assumptions. You might make an assumption that a certain facial expression means a certain thing. Ask the person, are you bored right now? Or are you cross with me? Or, nonverbal communication comes across differently to different people in different situations. Nonverbal communication also comes across differently across cultural lines. For example, kissing someone on the cheek in the United States is considered a romantic gesture, but doing it in Europe, some parts of Europe anyway, it's just a regular hello. Eye contact is the same way. In a business meeting, a very, very good thing. In a social situation, you don't want to stare somebody down and help them to feel less comfortable. Also, leave room for the unknown. Even just like I just said, that sometimes we might misinterpret somebody's body language. Leave room for somebody to actually be able to be themselves and communicate with you in a different way, and ask them. Just ask them about it. It's okay to not know. It's okay to not be 100% sure what something means. Just be more aware of yourself. Self-awareness is the number one tool in understanding your own body language, and understanding your own body language and the nuances of that helps you to understand others. I hope you have fun practicing your new investigation of body language. If you do, let me know some of the things that you're observing by leaving comments down below. And if you liked this, give me a thumbs up. That's one sign or signal that I would love to get from you. And also, if you didn't subscribe, you know how to do that. Click the subscribe button and that bell for notifications so you learn when we drop videos like this to help you live a better life, where you actually know what other people are saying.